So the first 3 days, after you go to all the interviews, all the stuff, your 3 days, you're locked in a hotel room for 3 days. No cell phone, no telephone. All you can do is watch TV. No books, no nothing. They take everything away from you. And then when you get on set, again, there's no TVs, there's no radios. You don't know when you get up. You don't know when you go to bed. You don't know what you're going to eat. So they take all control away from you. And this is kind of how they brainwash people. So usually people break around 20 days. And I'm telling you, around 24 days, my mind was mush.
Welcome to the Pitmasters Podcast. I'm Rusty Monson.
I'm Anthony Lujan.
And on today's episode, we have Andy Husband from the Smoke Shop in Boston, Massachusetts. I think it's around Boston, Massachusetts. He also has a couple books that are really crucial to pick up right away. And he's also been on Hell's Kitchen, so we'll talk a lot about that and a whole lot more. So let's go. All right, guys. So, go to the pitmasterspodcast.com and you can hear us on there. So you hear us talk on here that we have there's 400,000 places to listen. Well, yes. There is actually only one, and it's the pitmasterspodcast.com. So head over there and, you can listen to us there and you can watch our YouTube videos and, if you're into that. Yeah. So if you're into the YouTube, I know a lot of people do because actually it's not doing too bad.
Yeah, so not bad at all.
Yeah. So, head over there and check us out, buy some cool gear and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So also we're on Facebook, Instagram. We're on the Twitter.
Yes, we are, but we're not very active on the Twitter.
Yeah. We're not celebrities, so no.
We're political people.
Right. So you can check us out there any one of those at the pitmasters.com or the Pitmasters
podcast.
Pitmasters podcast. I always do that. Like we are, okay, the Pitmasters podcast. Don't worry, guys, I'll practice. All right, so, what have you been up to, man?
Not a whole lot. I just kind of been getting ready for this SCA stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I ordered some weights for the steaks, Ordered a 4.5 pounder. I don't know if that's too heavy or not.
Feels like it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's okay. You can use it. Yeah. I'm all right with it. Feel free.
I don't know. They're 1.5 inch steaks sometimes, or 1.25 inches, I should say.
Yeah.
So
I use a steak weight. I love it. And it's because I like it makes if anything, it takes those marks and just makes them completely even on the steak. There's no edges where they're just kind of faded out.
Yeah.
It's just straight up like, boom.
Right.
And sometimes they're not dark enough for me. I really like a dark line.
Yeah. So I ordered that and then ordered some strings to tie them up and a couple different rubs and just different little tools to see if it'll help me.
Sweet.
So, yep.
So I'm excited about those too. Those are coming up. If you guys are from Utah, there is a class that if you want to learn how to judge steak, there's a class you can go to that I believe the Barbecue Pit Stop's putting on.
Yeah, Layton. The Layton location,
sure.
Yeah.
You'll notice if you're not from Utah, he didn't say his T.
Yes.
That means he's from Utah.
Yes,
true. We don't say T's.
No, we don't.
Nope, we say Layton. Or instead of mountain, it's mountain.
Yep.
So if you see that, if you hear that, someone's from Utah.
Right.
So there's a mountain in Layton.
Yeah.
That's a Utah accent.
Yes, for sure.
I'm effing proud of it. All right. If you guys hate Utah, take it up with Kevin Bacon, bro.
Yeah. There's another class too I just seen that's coming up. Curtis Nations and Fidel are putting on a class linked up with Snake River Farms, correct?
Yeah, they're doing a couple of different meats from Snake River, so it's not like a competition style.
Right. But it's only $55.
Mm-hmm. And those guys know how to cook. So if you're in Lehigh, it's in the Lehigh location. Go to Barbecue Pit Stop and check it out on Facebook. Their website's okay, but check them out on Facebook. It's the best way to do it.
Yep.
Also, if you're in more classes, if you want classes, you got Mo. They do have a KCBS class coming up too. So if you guys are interested in learning how to judge barbecue the way that the KCBS people say you should, then you should go to that.
Right. And also World Food Championship class as well.
Oh yeah. It's on oh my gosh. Yeah. So I've been wanting to do this forever. And last time I signed up, we were going out of town. I didn't realize it, so I had to cancel it. And then I saw it this time. I'm like, I'm going to go do that. And it's my daughter's birthday.
Oh.
So I was being that dad going, I don't know. Does she care? Are we doing anything? Can I go to that real quick?
Can we move the party to the next day.
Yeah. I already canceled Sun City SCA for my daughter's birthday. You know,
Yeah.
like, I'm already canceling stuff. You know, I'm doing my diligence. Can I just have half the day? No. So, yeah, a lot of classes, guys. World Foods. I mean, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, this summer is going to be for classes, for big judging classes.
Mm-hmm. So for all those people who say, can I try it? Can I be your judge? You can do it now, and it's free. So if you ever, no, the classes aren't free, but judging is free.
Yes.
So you don't have to pay to judge once you get it. So do it. The best places to go, guys, if you're local in Utah, you're close by and you want to do those things, maybe you're from Idaho and you want to drive down, just go to Pit Stop on Facebook.
Yep, exactly.
Utah Barbecue Association.
Yep.
We'll also do it. They'll have that stuff on there, links to that.
Should we put some links on our website?
We'll put some links on our website.
There we go.
And in the show notes even, maybe.
Yeah.
If I remember. Because our guest today is Andy Husband. He is an author. He wrote The Pitmaster. He has a book coming out this coming Tuesday. It's the Smoke Shop Backyard Barbecue.
February 18th.
February 18th.
Yep.
Tuesday. I've pre-ordered it because I am actually, it's funny because we talked about him being on the show and I didn't realize I had already read his book and I didn't put two and two together. Really good book. If you're into competition in backyard, he mixes the two very well. He has a very good way of talking about good competition information. He even has timelines on there, everything you want. But then he has, what do you cook at the next party? You know?
Yep.
And it's really chock full of great information. Any one of his books do that. He, as you'll find out, he was a chef. He was on Hell's Kitchen. So we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I loved Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Now I can't watch it anymore.
Yeah. Give us a little bit of behind the scenes.
Yeah. I can't watch Hell's Kitchen anymore.
Right.
Too much, man.
Yeah. Intense.
Mm-hmm. So he has a new book coming out. You'll see him on the Food Network. He has a show called, there's a new one coming out. Well, it's out now, but he is judging. So he'll talk about that too. It's a Canadian Food Network show.
Right.
But I watched it. It's really cool. Well, without much ado, let's talk to Andy. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, everybody. We got Andy Husband here. He is the owner of the Smoke Shop in Massachusetts. He's also a team member of IQUE Barbecue Team, which is a very successful barbecue team on the East Coast, and the author of numerous books. In fact, one coming out that's going to take your backyard cooking to the next level. So let's introduce Andy. How you doing, Andy?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great, man. Just chilling, literally chilling.
Yeah.
In Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
It's very cold in my basement. By the way, if you guys didn't know, we have a little studio in my basement. So, and it's cold.
Yeah. You had to get socks on today.
I did. Yeah. I had to get socks. I run hot. So Andy, so you kind of, you're a chef. You started out as a chef. You grew up on the West Coast, kind of moved up to the East Coast and came back to the West Coast. Tell us about your journey in barbecue, where you got started. Or not barbecue, I'm sorry, for just cooking in general, like as a chef.
Yeah, I'd always loved to cook my whole life. I was making donuts when I was in fourth grade. And when I was 14, when I was 14, I moved from Seattle to outside of Boston and got a job at a bakery. And I adored it. I love learning how to do stuff. I worked for a pastry chef. He taught me how to make croissants and how to make eclairs. And it was just fascinating. Few jobs later, someone said, maybe you should go to Johnson & Wales. And I didn't even know what I was going to do. I wasn't not a great student. And so I went to Johnson & Wales and I applied. I got accepted. I couldn't believe it. I was a mediocre high school student. And when I got to Johnson & Wales, I fell in love. I knew I liked to cook, but I just fell in love with the business. I fell in love with going to school. And it was just really kind of helped me become less of a wildling and, learn about rules and staying clean and being organized and being on time. And it really kind of propelled me into my career. I just loved it.
So you started out mostly on the West Coast in San Francisco, and you worked in a couple restaurants there, and then you got a motorcycle shipped to you, and you just kind of you went to New Mexico and worked on a farm. Right. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, what actually happened was I traveled a little bit. Then I came back to Boston and worked at a place called the East Coast Grill. This is one of our most famous restaurants, like the first in 1985 it opened. I started working there in 91 or 92. And the chef, Chris Lessinger, he wrote The Thrill of the Grill, which is, I think, one of the best grilling books out there. And so he mentored me. And what was interesting is he had his restaurant called the East Coast Grill, but next door he had Jake and Earl's Dixie Barbecue, and huge fights. Like, I ran his restaurants for him. I was the chef. And one of the biggest fights we had was he forced me to work there. And I'm like, I don't want to work this barbecue little joint. I want to cook fancy food, And that was really my first taste of barbecue. I can honestly say at 22 years old, I had never had real pulled pork. I had never seen a cooked brisket. I had ribs, but more like country style, that your father would grill and put like Casey's Masterpiece on. And so, I of course did what he asked me to do after our numerous fights. And I started, working a lot at the barbecue takeout, learning about it. But at that point, when I left that restaurant, I kind of put barbecue on the back burner. That was not, I was still going after the, fancy chef kind of drive was where I was going. I moved up to Santa Fe. I worked on a farm for a woman named Elizabeth Berry. She was known, if you've ever seen Mark Miller's chili pepper posters, she grew those dried chili peppers.
Oh, nice.
She grew heirloom beans. And I just kind of wanted to learn working on a farm and seeing what that was like. It's hard work and fun work, but maybe not for me. So I had my motorcycle shipped there, and I drove it to San Francisco to find myself a chef job, or learn to cook more, and so it took me about 5 days to drive to San Francisco. You can only ride about 4 hours a day max. So ride, take breaks, relax, just enjoy. And then when I got to San Francisco, I got myself an apartment, and I started working at several different restaurants, just kind of learning about cuisine there. It was a wonderful experience, intense. Working 1-2 jobs sometimes a day. And then, I know this sounds quick, but I got a call to come back to Boston because somebody wanted to sell me a restaurant. And this was 1996. And I came back, and that deal actually fell through, but I partnered up with my best friend from high school, Chris Hart, and we eventually opened my first restaurant, Tremont 647. In 1996, in December, I had that restaurant for 20 years, believe it or not. Chris moved on to the tech sector after that. And then in the late 1990s, 98, Chris and I decided to start competing in barbecue competitions, just on a lark. They have them out here. There's something called the NEBS, New England Barbecue Society. And we said, just like, a couple guys going to drink some beers for the weekend. That's what we kind of decided to do. We both, we had done a little barbecue at the restaurant. Of course, I had, worked at Jake and Earl's. So I thought we both thought we knew a lot. And we quickly learned we knew nothing. We knew nothing about competitive barbecue. We did know a lot about drinking bourbon. And so we were very good at that. And, I would say the first 5 years, we had a blast, and we were not very good. But we enjoyed it. And what I learned about competition barbecue is it's more than just about cooking. It's about family. It's about friends. It's about, being with other teams. That to me is what it's really about, and the competition, of course, is important.
Yeah, you got that right.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's definitely the draw is like that, but man, it's the cool part is like hanging out with people. I met so many people. I met Anthony here, and through barbecue competitions, and I have all this like new like set of friends, through comps, and so that was super cool. It's like I think the best part of it, besides winning. Winning's the best part.
So I want to rewind just a hair, just because I'm a motorcycle guy. What kind of bike were you riding? Just curiously.
That was my second bike, and that was a Kawasaki Zephyr 750. Before that, I had a CB550, Honda CB550, 1976. And then the last bike I owned was a what was it? Thunderbird, a Triumph Thunderbird. And it was amazing.
Triumph's a good brand, yeah.
Yeah. So I've had all different types. The 750, when you're driving through Arizona on, I believe it's Route 10, I think, there's no speed limit. Oh. So I got it up to about 120, and I backed off pretty quickly.
I was about to say, my wife never listens to this podcast, and I want a motorcycle, so you're not helping my case.
Yeah, it was safe. He was completely in control and safe.
Well, that route in Arizona is straight. It's straight, for miles and miles through the desert. So you're just, you can see everything. It's, I rode mainly during daylight, but it's fast. 120 is scary.
Yeah, I don't even do that in my car. I get going 90 miles an hour. I'm like, oh, I'm a grandma though. I'm literally like Miss Daisy when I'm driving. So
I was in my 20s.
Right. So you you were on Hell's Kitchen, season 6. I want to talk about that just for a minute, because I did watch that show for, in fact, up till season 7, I believe. And I kind of want to pick your brain on a couple of things, especially on that season. But number one, I hear different stories about Ramsey. Is he the same or is he different off camera?
So you don't see him off camera.
Mm-hmm.
You never see him off camera. Now, I have friends who are friends with him, and, he is not always, when he's on set, he is a wound up, tight guy. And that's his job. Mm-hmm. Like, that's his, apply pressure the whole time. Absolutely. The one thing you probably don't know is he has an earpiece in his ear. So he's being fed information. Oh. Go over and yell at Andy about this. Go over and do this. Like, they're telling him, like, he knows stuff. If someone spilled something, if somebody had during the day had done something, he'll know to bug you about it that night.
Really?
Because they're chatting to him in the ear.
Oh yeah. That's crazy. And so I hear that that's a place, and they kind of lock you in there, right? I mean, you're kind of like cut off from the world. Is that right?
Yeah. So So it's actually, they break you. I mean, the whole arc of the show is, America, look at this piece of shit you get. And then at the end, it's, look at what I gave you, America. I chef. And so the first 3 days, when you get, after you go to all the interviews, all that stuff, you're 3 days, you're locked in a hotel room for 3 days. Wow. No cell phone, no telephone. All you can do is watch TV. No books, no nothing. They take everything away from you. And then when you get on set, again, there's no TVs, there's no radios. You don't know when you get up. You don't know when you go to bed. You don't know what you're going to eat. So they take all control away from you. And this is kind of how they brainwash people. So usually people break around 20 days. And I'm telling you, around 24 days, my mind was mush. I didn't know it was up. I didn't know it was down. I could cook something. Look, I'm a real good cook. I'm a good wine cook. At least I, was back then. I would cook something and he'd go, take that plate, smash it on the ground. That's garbage, whatever, But you're like, this is how I was cooking all the time. So you're like a dog and you don't want to be beat. So you're just trying to go. But the reality is you're going to get beat no matter what. Wow. There's a story that's happening. So one of the problems that I had on the show is I didn't play their games. Meaning they're like, like they would talk to you like, don't you care if you go home? And I'm like, no, I really don't. I'm like, I've got a great life. I own a restaurant. I've written books. If I stay, that's really great. I'm liking the competition, but if I go home, it's cool. And that wasn't great. I had another friend who was on the show, and he was very smart. He made himself part of the story by having an affair with a girl. So when you're part of the story, they want to keep you on.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you think after being locked up like that, it's part of probably the show, you actually don't end up getting along with these people because every little thing will probably end up irritating you or,
yeah. And it's long days. You're talking 14, 16-hour days. You sleep in a dorm. The dorm lights won't go out until the last person puts their head down. It's constant pressure. It's never relaxing, I guess is what I want to tell you. So yeah, it's demanding,
So some of that irritation everyone has with each other is probably real. I mean, it's a lot of editing, but it's probably pretty right on.
Yeah, they're instigating it. They do stuff to you like, like, so there'd be like when they yell, "Oh, your stove's not even on," right? Like it's not even on because they turn it off midday.
No,
but you don't know because it's a French flat top, which is an inch thick, so it slowly gets cool, right?
Oh,
so you don't, when you walk in, it's so hot because it's thick iron, right? So think how long it gets until it's not hot anymore, Yeah. Or they would switch out like a container, like a deli cup of salt that's in every kitchen. You pinch a little bit, they'll switch that out and make it sugar.
So speaking of like, that's nuts.
Well, you think
they goof with you. They just goof with you all day long.
And they give you that 10 seconds of going outside where most people will go out there and smoke break, but that end is flaring up most of the time as well. So
yeah, and I wasn't smoking, so I wouldn't be out there. It's just really about like, and I could have told you when I got off, which is like number 9, I could have told you who the top 3 were. Like we all knew because they wouldn't yell at them because they were part of the story. And the guy that won my season, I don't think he's cooking anymore.
Really?
I didn't think he was a great cook then. But he had a great story, and so that's what that show. I judge a show. It's called Fire Masters. It's on Cooking Channel right now. You can watch it. It's all about the food. It's about the food. It's about food and cooking. And by the way, anybody listening to this show, you should apply because it's all about grilling and barbecue, and you can win $10,000. There's no whammies, no gummy bears, nothing wacky. It's just about the food.
This is on the Cooking
how
Channel.
you can cook.
Yeah. What's it called again? Because
Fire Masters.
Fire Masters. We're in, Rusty. Let's
watching
go do
that tonight. I'm legit. I love that stuff. I love that stuff.
I'm a judge on 6 episodes for this coming season, so you'll see me here and there. It's kind of neat. The first round is about three competitors, okay, and you're doing your signature dish. Second round is a this or that. So you'll get given 2. It'll be 2 competitors, and they'll get like peaches or cream. And so one takes peaches, one takes cream, and then you go and cook. Or it could be ham and cheese, right? Or whatever it is. And you have to go make a dish, 30 minutes. Then the winner of that round goes against one of the judges.
Oh, cool. Way cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of like chopped meat Iron Chef.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to watch. I have a hard time getting the Cooking Channel because I love Good Eats, and it's on the Cooking Channel now, and I have to find it. I'm like thinking about just upping my subscription to get that because I love the Cooking Channel. So I'll have to get it now to watch it because that seems right up my alley. One thing on Hell's Kitchen I want to go is that guy Joe at the first 2 episodes. I way back when I read an AMA with someone on the show that said, so if you guys don't know and haven't seen the episode, he's a real hothead and he tries to get at Chef Ramsay as much as he can, calling him a whole bunch of words I'm not going to mention on here because there might be sailors listening. So and he gets finally it kind of explodes and he gets up in Chef Ramsay's face, trying to call him out, get him outside. They want to fight. He's taking off his shirt. He's doing all this stuff, and Ramsay kicks him out. Now he's kind of a douche the whole time. And on the AMA, the guy on there said that there was a whole lot of other stories. Was this guy for real? I mean, he's just a complete psychopath the whole time?
No, I didn't think so. But I understood where he's coming from. He seemed to just not. He didn't take crap well. When you get verbally abused, he didn't take it well. I actually worked for a guy who was meaner than Ramsay when I was young. So I was used to the screaming and yelling. Like I knew what that's about. Not how I run my kitchens, but I'm like, okay, you just have to listen to what they're really saying to you. What are they trying to say? Read between the lines. Mm-hmm. So, but he couldn't handle it. And one day Chef Ramsay was just riding him. And I think it was also apparent to him that he wasn't going to get very far in the competition. So if you have a job and you don't like your job and you don't want to quit, though, what's the best way to get fired? Maybe start a fight with the boss?
Maybe.
And so that's what he did. So there was only a couple beers ever we had like a shared refrigerator. There maybe be like 6 of them. There's however many of us, 12, sharing this whole area. He went upstairs when they're like, go deliberate. He went upstairs and drank like 4 beers, like just crushed them.
Wow.
So he got a little liquid courage. And it was funny because every night I was going to get sent home. Every time I was on the chopping block, you know, and I didn't care. I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go home tonight. And then he did this thing where he wouldn't tell Ramsey why somebody should go home, and he ran at Ramsey. If you look at VH1's like top, what do you call it, reality TV moments, it's like number 4 or something, and you see him running at Ramsey, and it's so funny because it's so high school, right? Like, let's step outside. I mean, we all know that if you want to punch somebody, just punch them.
Right.
Like, it's not like, let's step outside. What does that mean? Like, would it not have been on camera or something outside? Like, it was wild. I mean, security came on and the police came, and it was wild. Like, I was definitely taken back, but no, I thought the guy was okay. I just think he was, everybody thinks, so I'm a new father. So I'll talk about this. Everybody thinks they're a great parent until they become one.
Right.
And the same thing here. Everybody thinks they're a great cook until they go on Hell's Kitchen. And then you're like, oh, because, listen, guys, I could go stand next to you, and if you really cared what I thought and I was yelling at you, you'd be like, what's going on? It's like, I'm sure all these people were pretty good cooks, but on the show, somebody's got to win and someone's got to lose. Right. And that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not real. It's not, it's absolutely, it's not staged, but it's not real. If that makes sense. It's not real life.
And that seems super intense. Like,
well, some people I will compare it to, because I've worked in kitchens before where, like you said, the chef is like that. And they are. Yeah. I mean, there's some chefs that are just like Gordon Ramsay on that show, and just like, ooh,
yeah,
that's how it is.
Yeah, I work for a guy like that, but I love this guy. Like, yes, he could be a taskmaster and he could push you and he would, throw stuff at you and say awful things. But I love this guy because when he wasn't like that, when you pleased him, he was like, oh man, this is great. And when you had the best nights, it was like the best nights. You know what I mean? So like Bobby Knight, remember Bobby Knight, the coach who threw chairs at his basketball team?
Right.
But people loved him, and so it's, but for Ramsey, it's like, it's so fake. It's like, oh, we're going to shut down this restaurant. What chef shuts down this restaurant? And in fact, it's been said that when a boss is mad at their staff, they're really just mad at themselves for not preparing their staff or their team for what is to come. Mm-hmm. That's the job of management. That's the job of a chef. That's the job of a coach, is to prepare your team for what's to come.
Sure, right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sounds legit. I've never been in a kitchen, but speaking of going from a kitchen to outside to the barbecue realm, can you tell us a little bit about the transition from a chef to a pitmaster?
Yeah. And while I'm not sure I have a delineation between the two terms, a chef and a pitmaster chef. I mean, there's some, I get it, but to me, a chef is a person who runs a team and puts out good food. That's what a pitmaster, that's, they may use different tools, but kind of the same. So as I said, Chris and I started competing, and we lost for many, many years. And then we decided we want to get good at this. And there were in our region, the New England region, New England Barbecue Society, which is, most of our competitions are KCBS sanctioned. There were some teams that had done okay, some teams that had gone to the Jacks, some teams that one guy had done really well in chicken, and we idolized these teams. So we want to be that. So we kind of went to the drawing board, and we're led by Chris Hart. We figured out a way to hack the system. We figured out a way to win. And this is through a multi-pronged thing, but a lot of it is the core, which is just mastering your pit, right? Making sure that you know how to run your pit. That's the core. But then it became our seasoning, our injections, our brinings, how we did it. And all of a sudden, it's like in anything, you've got to do the reps. And once we had done the reps for, say, 8, 9 years, we started to get really good at it. So that's where the transition is happening for us. It's like in any business, you've got to do the reps to become successful. And we just kept practicing and practicing, you know, when we weren't competing, practicing. It's like any sport. You've got to practice. You got to run if you want to do a marathon, right?
Right.
And I had so I had this business, Trademark 647, that I've been running. Chris is running a tech firm, and we just decided to go for it. And we started to get winning competitions, you know, we won 35 KCBS competitions, grand champions, got we've been to the Jack like 6, 7, 8 times. We win Kansas City brisket out of 510 teams. We end up winning the Jack by just doing the reps and doing what we do, you know. And it was just unbelievable. We were the first non-Southern team to win the World Championships of barbecue. No non-Southern team had ever done that before. And, you know, you got to think about us. We're New England boys. We're the ultimate outsiders.
Right.
You know?
So,
and go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just wondering. So you put in all that work and was continuously not winning for the first, did you say 8 to 9 years? Was there a point where
the first 5 years.
Oh, first 5 years.
First 5 years. I mean, look, we were getting trophies here and there,
right.
You know, some first places, but no grand champions, no reserve champions. We were having a blast, you know, maybe drinking too much. And that was something we dialed back on to actually be able to, you know, you gotta, if you really want to go for it, you can't be drinking all the time. You know, if you really want to win, you gotta be serious.
Right. That's what I was wondering. So on that 5th year, were you guys just like, it's time to be serious, no more games, we're all in, and, you know, like all bullshit aside, just nose down and grind it out.
And our team, you know, we had finally put the right team together. Guys that could exist together, guys who were serious about it. We all had our roles. You know, we brought on people from other teams that we liked, kind of recruited them. We all put in a lot of money, bought a Jambo pit. You know, really just got serious with our equipment, got serious with, you know, and then we started really seeing results. It was great. You know, I mean, it was for a while in New England, you know, at least we felt like if we showed up, you know, it was yours. Second place was yours. You know, like we were dominating. But it was funny though, when we got to the national stage, we got crushed. When we got to the Jack the first year, we just got crushed. When we went to Kansas City to the Royal, we got crushed because it's like going from like high or college to NFL, you know, like it's you could be good in college, but man, when you get to the NFL, you're like, holy crap.
Everybody knows their assignments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, you know, we just had to get better at what we did and again, doing the reps. So that's kind of how we got there. You know, it's just a lot of work.
So what was that like? I mean, going to the Jack and winning that, I mean, cause that's like when I was first starting out in barbecue, I'm like, I want to go to the Royal, and everyone's like, nah, you want to go to the Jack. You know, you want to get to the Jack. That's what you want to win. And Royal and the Royal's cool, but winning the Jack is better. You know, and of course, a #1 brisket in the Royal is just insane.
Yeah.
But winning the Jack, that's crazy. What was that like?
It's hard to put words to it, you know, especially because it's not something that we just showed up and won. It's years of going there, driving an RV back, you know, or a truck back, you know, 18 hours. It was unbelievable, I think is the term. It's just, and you know, here's the thing, and I can't remember, I have bad memory, but you know, it wasn't like we got first. Mm-hmm. It was like second, fourth, no call, 8th. Right. Mm-hmm. So on that no call, you didn't know, did you get 80th? Who knows? Right. So, you know, it was just, you know, it's hard to put words to it, you know?
So I was talking to Lene from Sugar's Barbecue, and she had mentioned that you have a book called Wicked Good Barbecue, and we'll talk a lot about the books in a minute. But she specifically was saying, she's like, oh, you got to get this book. You got to try their chicken rub and their sauce. You have to make it. So is this, so I mean, you know, I got the book, of course. I'm looking at the recipe. Is this it? Is this the recipe you guys used, or is it just a little bit different?
So when we wrote that book, it was kind of cool. That's the first book we wrote after we won the Jack. And the edict, the instructions we got from our editor is make the recipes as hard as you want. And that's rare. Usually it's make it so they can make it in 30 minutes, right? Or whatever. And we're like, no, we want to put these are the recipes we use to win the Jack. That's it. Like those are the recipes. So an average recipe is 400 to 600 words. That brisket recipe in there, 2,000 words.
Yep. I was reading through that
right?
too. Yeah.
Right. And I teach a lot of classes, a lot of barbecue classes, and I tell people, you could try. They're like, why would you give your secrets away? I'm like, you can make that recipe. You can't beat me, but this will be the best ribs you've ever made. They will be, and then because you guys know it takes practice. So cooking a rack of ribs is whatever, but to be able to actually do a competition, that's a whole other world.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could give Rusty my recipe, give me his. We can both go out there and cook, and it'll taste completely different. Like from how he's used to cooking it. It's.
Yeah, we have an episode with Chad Ward. What's one of our first episodes from Traeger and Whiskey Bent Barbecue, and his analogy is the best. He said, like, you can learn from like Larry Bird how to shoot a basketball, then you have to shoot a basketball against Larry Bird. So
yeah, exactly.
So then you won a whole bunch. You do competition barbecue. And then you kind of move into the barbecue restaurant world. You're already in the restaurant world, but do you guys still compete? Or is it just kind of like the barbecue restaurant now?
So I have 3 barbecue restaurants today. By summer, I'll have 5. We're opening up 2 more. We compete somewhere between 2 and 3 times a year. But we like to think of ourselves on the senior tour. So, it used to be just the boys. And then we're talking, we've been competing since like 97, 98. So for 20 years. It used to be just the boys. It's a weekend. Now it's the families show up and the kids, and it's phenomenal. And it's like, especially we do, if you ever have a chance, the best barbecue competition out here is the one at Harpoon Brewery in Vermont. It's a 2-day event. It's just a really special event. There's a river to go swimming in. There's a place to camp if you want. Just beautiful. And, when we go for that event, we have like 30 people to show up for our team. And it's, it's families, it's our friends. Some of the teams that don't compete anymore, they come, because they become lifelong friends, so it's just and we compete and we do okay. We still try to win, but it's not as serious. It's not as intense.
Right.
You're
not just cooking for 6 judges at that point.
Yeah. I mean, we have a whole group that's doing like family meal. We have it all orchestrated. We like to play poker, so we play a lot of poker at night.
Nice.
But it's, we still compete. It's not as serious. And I think, yes, we'd love to go back to the Jack, but like, I really feel it's like, you got to be competing all the time. You got to be hitting 10, 15, 20 contests, and that's hard to do, especially, being a new father myself, and, things change.
Yeah,
it's hard to go with kids. Right. Like I have kids, and it's a challenge. So.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, Rusty. I think you should bring your poker table, and we'll have a hold'em tournament of like
in Massachusetts.
No, just
at our
local competition, man. After Cook's meeting, $20.
I don't know if you can handle it. Could you get whooped? Do your ass whooped twice or
no? So speaking of competitions, I'm just curious. Have you ever looked into an SEA event? Have you thought about doing any of those? Do you know what they are?
The steak?
Yeah.
So I did one at the trying to remember, it's for Amy Mills at the is it Apple City they call it? At the 17th Street, the big event they do. They do they do a steak one
event.
And we got clobbered. But I mean, it's, I haven't done it enough. I've certainly cooked enough steaks in my life, but I mean, it's funny because, it's competition and cooking are kind of sort of different, right? It's like driving a race car versus driving your Toyota Corolla.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is that scene like out in the East Coast? Because we're from the West Coast. We know a lot of West Coast teams. We know a lot of West Coast comps, and then you have that crazy amount of barbecue teams right there in the middle of the United States. And then over on the East Coast, it's kind of for us like Pluto, it's like no one knows what is going on over there. What is the scene like on the East Coast?
It's insane. It's bigger and badder than ever. I think a year after we won, another New England team won. So there was 2 years after. So a couple of New England teams have won it, and won Kansas City a couple times. So we have really strong competitors up here. And these days, I mean, it's so different than when we started. I mean, with the internet, videos, Instagram, people know what other people are doing. So it's not as well kept secrets as it used to be, and so it's pretty fierce. I mean, come on up and try your luck.
Maybe I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I've never been that way. Actually, one of our teammates, Jared, he's from Massachusetts,
right.
So he would love that. I think he'd literally poop his pants if I said, "Hey, Jared, we're going to Massachusetts to compete in barbecue."
What's also a good event, and I believe it's the first weekend in June, is the Mohegan Sun event. And the reason it's so good is, one, it's at a casino. If you want to get a hotel room, you can. It's right there in the parking lot, and the cash prizes are substantial.
Oh wow!
And there's good food in the casino. If you're a gambler, go gamble. But it's a good event. It is in a parking lot, so it's not as. I mean, the Vermont one, it's a Harpen Brewery. It's by far the best. But if you wanted to compete in New England, you could compete every weekend pretty much. There's always competitions.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Not just barbecue, probably. There's just food competitions in general, right?
Well, a lot of times they'll tie them in and make them 2 days. So there'll be a grilling competition also, which could be, anything wrapped in bacon. It could be sausage. It could be, it's usually a quicker cook. There might be a rib category, but that's the longest cook you'd have.
Is there a chowder contest out there?
Yeah, there's chowder contests.
There has to be.
Somebody brings Manhattan chowder and they're like, what?
Oyster shucking contest? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I would lose that competition. I had to do that when I lived in New Orleans. I worked at a restaurant. I was the oyster shucker. It was terrible. I just never. Oh, so now you own 3 restaurants. You own the smoke shop, and has three restaurants now. And that is, you're doing barbecue there, obviously a smoke shop. So tell us a little bit about the restaurant.
So, it's kind of like, so when people ask us what style, it's kind of a little bit of everything. It's a tribute to my favorite styles. So our brisket is certainly a Texas style. Of course, our burnt ends are Kansas City. Our pulled pork's more of kind of a North Carolina. Our ribs are kind of a cross between a Memphis and Kansas City. It's more of like a dry rub with a glaze. Lots of fun sides. For us, I just want to highlight I've traveled the United States eating barbecue, and I want to kind of show New England what I've seen, and we've taken a lot of the competition kind of tricks. So again, to use that race car analogy, some of that stuff that they do in race cars trickles down to our cars. And so the same thing for all the tricks I've learned of how to hold the meat correctly, how to season it, how to rub, how to sauce it, all these things that I did a competition, we now kind of have done some of that kind of influence what we do here. And then the sides, because I do have my chef background, I'm always kind of goofing around and using what's fresh, what's local, and just kind of taking our barbecue path the way we do it. Are we a roadhouse? No, we're kind of just a barbecue restaurant, Right. And by the way, we have New England's biggest whiskey list, 240 bottles.
Wow. Nice.
Man.
See, I think
240 American whiskeys.
Nice. See, I think sides make a barbecue restaurant. If you just don't have good sides, it doesn't finish the meal. You can go in and get brisket and ribs almost anywhere, but the sides, I think, what set a barbecue restaurant apart from one another.
Thanks. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I love all of it. So I will take all of it. Right? I'll take one of everything. So you do a lot of cookbooks. By the way, the restaurant looks super slick. I want to go there. Jared's always trying to get us to go to Massachusetts. One day we'll have to go. That's all he ever talks about. If you meet Jared,
let me know.
Within 3 seconds, he's from Massachusetts. So even though he's lived here for like 7 years, but whatever. So you do a bunch of books. You have several. I mean, you started out with one. It's more of like the chef, kind of, oriented. It's called a Fearless Chef. And you did that way back when. And that's just chef. Then all of a sudden you just went on, you did the Wicked Good Burgers and all Grilled to Perfection and different books like that. Ones that stick out to me though, that I really like the style in which these books are written. Because for example, Pitmaster, right? No relation, by the way. You have a lot of different kinds. So you touch on a lot of different styles of food in that. You touch on competition, you touch on the cookers and how to use them. And it was really interesting because you talk about Texas, talk about Memphis, talk about a little bit of everything in those books. Yeah. So what, and then again, we just talked about Wicked Good Barbecue and you talk about competition in a very deep way, but you kind of go, you can buy this book and say it's a competition barbecue guy. And you can get the competition secrets, and then you can get some cool stuff to do at parties. So it's like kind of this like really good combination for someone like myself, you know, because the people get their heads so far up competition. You're like, all right, we'll cook a brisket another way. Like, oh, what? So tell us about those books and kind of where they came from. You actually have a new one coming out that is strictly backyard. So there's no competition in it, right?
MMA of cookbook.
No real competition. So Pitmaster. I mean, first of all, we are I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, me and Chris are the first ones that have ever wrote about competition recipes. I don't think anyone's ever really written a book on that. And that's where Wicked Good Barbecue is, our competition recipes. It was
the first I read of. Yeah, there are now, right. But back then that's the one. That's why, I got it. So.
Right. And then Pitmaster, we have like timelines, for contests and stuff like that. So here's the thing. I think people pigeonhole barbecue people and they think, oh, he's just a barbecue cook. And I know 1,000 barbecue cooks and none of them are just barbecue cooks. So my point, or our point in these books is, barbecue is a big part of our life. And that's the backbone of Wicked Good Barbecue, a backbone of Pitmaster, and the backbone of my new book, Backyard Barbecue. But there's all this other stuff that has to deal with live fire or maybe celebration. And so that's where, Wicked Good Barbecue, we kind of went off and just did all these wacky fun things that we kind of do. Kind of, what if we could do this? Could we put a pecan pie inside of a cheesecake? Just different fun things that we could do. Now, back in the Pitmaster, again, we wanted to do stuff beyond barbecue and have really fun sides and have creative stuff. Because look, we've all had 1,000 ribs and it's fun to do a new recipe, but it's fun to see other things and other ways to do it. And I also should give a shout out to Ken Goodman. Ken Goodman Photography. You can find him on Instagram. His pictures are phenomenal. And he did the photos for all of our books.
Yeah, it looks great.
And my latest book, Backyard Barbecue, in the very beginning, we quote Tuffy Stone, who is just a legend and an amazing pitmaster. And, he says, barbecue is the food of celebration. And if we think about that, that's kind of what I told you about why I fell in love with barbecue is. Nobody cooks a brisket for themselves, right? Nobody really cooks a rack of ribs for themselves, generally. I'm generalizing. Of course, some people do. But, so it's food that you make for your community. It's always been that way. It's for celebrations. And that book, Backyard Barbecue, is all about gatherings. So we have different chapters. We have a fancy chapter. We have a brunch chapter. We have a tailgate chapter. All different chapters with drinks and desserts. So you can celebrate barbecue, live fire cooking together with the people you love. I mean, it's really kind of my ode and love to barbecue.
Oh, that's awesome. Like what you said back earlier is like just learning how to cook over a grill can open up so many more windows. Like I really didn't get into like barbecue until like my early 30s, and it's kind of opened a whole new door for me. I got into the competition world, and then slowly it kind of transitioned to like, cast iron cookings, and then I got into sous vide cooking, and it's just opened this whole new world of cooking in general versus, just a pan over the stove. And, exactly what you said too, is you want to share your food that you create in barbecue. You're like, here, I made extras, take it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
So,
think about a competition. People are always walking around with different stuff. And a lot of times, and most of the time, it's not barbecue. It's like, oh, I made these, stuffed peppers, or I made this dip or whatever. And people are just sharing because, that's what you do. And to me, that's what hospitality is about. That's what, family's about, is just eating together and enjoying, right? And yeah, at competitions, it gets a little intense, from say 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. But after that, we're back at it, just enjoying each other.
So when does this new one comes out? Because it's not out yet. The backyard one, the smoke shop, backyard barbecue.
Yeah, it drops February 18th.
Okay.
And it's so far. I mean, I'm really in love with this book. I get an advance copy, so I always read it like 3 or 4 times, and it's great. And all of our recipes work. We did like Copa bacon in there. There's really some fun, exciting stuff. Whole roasted prime rib. Really, it's a great book.
Nice, and that's going to be available on like all your like Audibles and
Audible.
Or whatever.
That'd be sweet if you can.
I'll just read it to you as a bedtime story.
That's all I need. That's all I need, man.
But just like on Amazon and your local bookstore.
And any reputable retailer should have it.
Right.
And so, do you guys have because I noticed in kind of your books, you kind of bring on some people like Tuffy Stone's in one. He has a little bit, and like Mike Mills and Steve. Oh, I forget his last
Steven
name.
Reichlin, yeah.
Yep.
All those guys. Jamie Greer's in Pitmaster. We try to bring in a lot of people. This one we brought in a lot of local people. So I have this woman who I know, and she's really, a mother, home cook, and teacher, and she is an unbelievable dessert maker. So she made all the dessert recipes are hers, and they're phenomenal. We brought in some wine consultant in the new book. We also have a butcher who describes what each cut is and talks about what's good about it, how to buy it, things like that. So I again, this is kind of my view of the world. Is not just like it's me and I'm the one. It's us and we do this together. And I think books should be educational and they should be fun.
So by the time this is out, you could probably buy it. I think this episode's actually going to release at the exact same time yours is coming out. So you guys should be able to buy it now, if not in a couple of days. So as that goes, so what you work with a charity too. I just kind of wanted to touch on that.
Yes.
What was that charity called?
Share Our Strength.
Share Our Strength. Yeah. So what is that charity?
Yep. Great. And I'd love to talk about them. So Share Our Strength also has their hashtag is No Kid Hungry. So in America, 1 in 7 children are at risk of hunger. And to me, I think that's just awful. I think that it makes me sad as a father, as a human being, that children are not getting food. One of the initiatives they've done is something called Breakfast After the Bell. It's in many different states, just going to start here in Massachusetts. I know it started in Colorado, where they have arranged in school class that in the first period that children eat breakfast. Now, I don't want to get deep into why it's so successful, meaning that it's federally funded, which is great for the states. But here's the amazing thing that's been happening. So they're making sure every child gets breakfast. What happens? Magically, attendance goes up, disciplinary goes down, test scores go up, just by feeding children. And it's just one of those things I think everybody can get behind. If you want to read more about it, go to strength.org or nokidhungry.org. And, it's a great charity. Many chefs around the United States and many people are involved in this and get involved. Here's the thing. It's solvable. Hunger is solvable. Cancer right now is not. Hunger is. We can solve it. If we get together, we can fight this. And, I know that people talk about we can't hire enough or, it's hard to find good people. This is why we need to feed our youth, because then they can grow up and become great employees and great bosses. Oh. It's so important.
Yeah, that's total facts.
And the last thing I would talk about is opportunity. So it is, if you think about where success can come from and where leaders can come from, they don't necessarily need to come from one place. They can come from anywhere. And that's just about opportunity. But opportunity can't happen without food. Right? So look, adults, you can say whatever you want. Oh, that person screwed up their life. Children haven't screwed up yet. Let's help them succeed.
Yeah, I agree with that 110%.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
Setting them up for the future. So speaking of future, you got a new book coming out. You got 2 new restaurants opening up. Do you have anything else projected? Are you to come out with your own sauce and rub line? Anything like that?
Maybe one day. It's something we look at. We certainly, make enough sauce and rubs to bottle and package, but we haven't got that yet. And, as I mentioned, I'm a new father of twin girls. So they're 2 years old. So, that's kind of my focus also. Right. So I'm pretty busy. So we'll see what happens. Chris and I are working on a couple top secret projects that maybe we'll reveal soon. So we're working on some stuff. You never know till it happens. But, for me, it's just to enjoy life, cook some great barbecue, and be with some friends and family.
That's awesome.
That's my goal.
Sweet. Well, let's put a little bit of promotion in this. Let's talk about where people can find you and all that good jazz.
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram at Andy Husbands. You can also find me at andyhusbands.com and come visit the restaurant. If you want to reach out to me, any social media platform, you probably can find me. Except for TikTok. I'm not on TikTok.
Yet. Because the wife is trying to talk to me.
I'm trying not to be on TikTok.
You will. It's going to happen.
The Pitmaster going to have a TikTok?
I'm trying to figure it out. It's hard.
I guess we could TikTok this. I have no idea how it works. But
we can TikTok stuff.
I don't know. But, reach out to me. I love talking barbecue with anybody. I get people hit me up all the time. In my DMs on Instagram, asking me questions, and I'm here. I'm here to help and celebrate barbecue.
That's awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming on and talking with us, man. That was fun.
Definitely.
Well, I'm honored to be on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, hey, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Stay warm. Talk to you.
And there you have it, man. A lot of information there. Make sure you go pick up his book this Tuesday, the 18th.
It's going to be downloaded on my Kindle.
Yeah.
Automatically. I've already pre-ordered it. So if you're hearing this on Thursday, it'll be this coming Tuesday. Go ahead and order his book. Just looks great. It really does. And I'm not saying that Anthony and I made a point to do this podcast. We would not bring anyone on or recommend anything we didn't fully feel like it was really good and cool or something we've done our own.
Right.
So I've read his books and they're great. So definitely check those out and look for him on the Food Network and all that fun stuff.
For sure. So, and make sure you go and give him a follow on his social medias. Mm-hmm. And while you're there, might as well click on us a little bit too.
Yeah. Check us out. Tell your friends.
Yep.
Tell your mom and dad.
Yes.
About the Pitmasters podcast.
There you go. Exactly.
And guys, we have a couple cool interviews coming up for you. We have Tuffy Stone and Lene from Sugar's Barbecue coming on. We've got those guys coming on. So stay tuned for those. And follow us on the Instagrams, on the Facebooks, on the Twitters, on the YouTubes at the Pitmasters Podcast.
Yep. .com.
No, just the Pitmasters Podcast. You can go to the pitmasterspodcast.com and
link
to all of those things.
Correct.
So yeah, guys, take it easy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you. Well, we'll talk to you, or you'll listen to us talk.